In a world that often demands urgency, precision, and performance, joy can feel like a detour, a luxury, a reward we earn after the real work is done. But what if joy is the real work? What if joy isn't the thing we sprinkle on top, but the thing that leads us through? Close your eyes for a moment. Picture a child learning something new. Maybe they're figuring out how letters make sounds, or how to build a tower that won't fall, or how to make their body move to a rhythm. Now, are they frowning in concentration, gritting their teeth through the struggle? Or are they giggling, dancing, eyes bright with that unmistakable sparkle that says, "This is fun"? Because here's what decades of neuroscience, developmental psychology, and educational research tells us. Children learn best when they're experiencing positive emotions, not in spite of joy, but through joy. When children feel joy, their brains release dopamine. And dopamine isn't just the feel-good chemical. It's the chemical that tells every neuron in their brain, pay attention to this. This matters. Let's build connections here. Joy literally helps learning stick. It etches experience into memory. It transforms moments into meaning. But here's where it gets even more profound. A child's emotional state and their cognitive capacity aren't competing systems. They're not separate departments in the brain fighting for resources. They're integrated, woven together like threads in fabric, inseparable and interdependent. A child's ability to focus, to remember, to make creative connections, to solve problems, all of it is enhanced when they feel emotionally safe, connected, and yes, joyful. And when we create joyful learning experiences, we're not compromising rigor. We're not dumbing things down or making them too easy or letting them off the hook. We're optimizing the very conditions under which real, deep, rigorous thinking can actually happen. Now, I know you may be thinking, isn't learning supposed to be challenging? Don't kids need to learn to push through discomfort? We can't just make everything fun all the time, can we? Centering joy in the learning experience isn't about eliminating challenges. It's not pretending that growth doesn't sometimes involve struggle or that everything should be easy. Here's the distinction that matters. There's a difference between productive struggle and suffering. The difference between challenges that stretch you and those that stress you and shut you down. Between effort that builds and pressure that breaks. Researchers have discovered that when we experience joy, our attention literally broadens. We notice more, we see more possibilities, we make more creative connections, our thinking expands. And over time, this is the beautiful part, these moments of expanded awareness build lasting resources, resilience, creativity, stronger relationships, a sense of purpose. Joy doesn't make hard things easy, but it makes hard things possible. It transforms struggle from something that depletes us into something that develops us. At Caston Kids, our We Get to Be philosophy doesn't treat joy as the reward you receive after toiling and struggling. Joy isn't what happens after the real work is done. Joy is the work. It's the foundation, the infrastructure, the leader in the circle. And when joy leads, something beautiful happens. Connection follows. Think about it. When have you felt most connected to a child? Was it during the serious, focused moments of drilling flashcards? Or was it during that spontaneous dance party in the kitchen? That moment of shared laughter over a silly story? That creative project where you both got lost in the flow of making something beautiful together? Those moments of shared joy, what researchers call moments of meeting. These aren't just pleasant memories. They're the building blocks of secure attachment, the foundation of trust that says, I can be myself with you. You delight in me. I matter. I belong. And it's that trust, that security, that sense of belonging, that's what creates the foundation for all the rest of learning. Because a child who feels seen doesn't just feel good. They become brave. They become curious. they become willing to try, to fail, and to try again. This principle is woven into the very fabric of all that we create. It is central to our guiding principle of we get to be. In our song, Alphabet Beat A to Z, every letter becomes a doorway to movement, to meaning, to emotional literacy. Kids aren't just memorizing symbols, they're dancing with language. Their whole bodies are involved. And when children move while they learn, they understand more deeply and remember longer. The joy of movement isn't a break from learning, it's the vehicle for it. In our We Get to Be books, stories become mirrors where children see themselves reflected, and maps that help them navigate their own emotional landscapes. When children connect emotionally with characters, they develop both literacy skills and social-emotional competencies at the same time. The joy of finding yourself in a story isn't separate from learning to read. It's what makes reading matter. It's what transforms decoding into meaning-making. As we move away from childhood into adulthood with mounting responsibilities, navigating life choices, and perhaps raising children of our own, we somehow inherit a false choice. This idea that we have to pick between joy and rigor, between feeling good and working hard, between belonging and becoming. But what if those aren't opposites? What if they're partners? What if they are designed to work cooperatively to aid in our thriving? There's this concept in psychology called flow. You've probably experienced it. It's that feeling when you're so engaged in something that time seems to disappear. You're challenged, yes. You're stretching yourself, absolutely. But you're also enjoying it. You're in it, fully present, fully alive. Flow states combine high challenge with positive emotional experience. And these flow experiences, they're associated with the deepest learning, the strongest development, the most meaningful growth. So joy isn't the opposite of rigor. Joy is the soul of rigor. It's what makes rigorous work sustainable. It's what transforms effort from something we endure into something we embrace. When joy leads, children don't just learn better, they feel seen, they feel safe, they feel like they belong exactly as they are. And from that place of belonging, from that foundation of joy, that's where the real growth happens. That's where children develop not just academic skills, but the resilience to face challenges, the creativity to solve problems, the emotional intelligence to build healthy relationships, the confidence to take risks, the compassion to care for others, the courage to become who they're meant to be. So here's the invitation for you today. What if you followed joy? Not in a reckless, abandon all responsibility kind of way, but as a guide, as a compass pointing toward what's alive, what's true, what's possible. What if, when you're planning your child's learning experience, you asked, will this bring joy? Not as the only question, but as one of the questions, a question that matters. What if, when your child resists something, you pause to wonder, is this struggle productive or is it shutting them down? And then have the courage to pivot, to try something different, to follow the spark of what lights them up. What if you trusted, really trusted, that the path to rigorous learning runs through engagement, and the path to engagement runs through meaning, and the path to meaning runs to joy? Because here's what we know, from the research and from lived experience, from science and from the soul. When we follow joy, we are not relinquishing responsibilities for permissiveness. We don't lower standards or give up on growth or settle for less. We create the conditions where natural brilliance can emerge, where inherent capacity for learning can flourish, where children can become their fullest selves, not despite who they are, but because of who they are. Children and adults deserve to learn with their whole heart engaged. We deserve to know that learning isn't something that we have to suffer through to earn the right to be joyful. We deserve to know that we get to be exactly, fully, beautifully who we are, and that being ourselves is not just enough, it's more than enough. When joy leads, the destination is always worth arriving at. Not because joy takes us to some perfect place where nothing is difficult or complex or challenging, but because joy ensures that wherever we arrive complete, connected to ourselves, to each other, and to the beautiful complexity of becoming. So, we follow the leader, we follow joy, and we invite you to join us on this journey.